Okay, and I say that again.
But what?
Because
like I didn't opine on whether it's evil or not, but my position is it's really none of my business. And
why is it? But I have a question. Why is it none of your business? I mean, you
because
comment on these things for a living.
I'm not mother of the internet.
You are right, Megyn Kelly. You are not the mother of the internet. Factually speaking, they're only fathers of the internet. But let's just address that for a second. What I think you mean, in my opinion, is that you don't get to gatekeep. Where have we heard that before? I think that was the blue side of the internet, blue side of the political hemisphere. What it actually sounds like what you're saying is that you don't get to decide whether or not you should defend the same people who had your back, who you cried for. I'm so sad Charlie is gone. I'm so sad Charlie is gone. But I'm not going to defend his widow. I'd rather defend the cunt that's destroying his empire and the reputation of his widow. Alright, let's roll the intro. Yes, guess who's back and better than ever? That's right, it's me, Jules. Now, what has this week been? I was going to post a video about 3 weeks ago talking about Megyn Kelly's interview with Ben Shapiro. In fact, I inserted a clip from the beginning of that interview that I watched. And I think we owe everyone who was talking about this, especially Ben Shapiro, who has the most to lose, an apology. See, I was talking about Candace Owens, who is the subject of this entire video. Hi, Candace. I imagine you will not watch this, but I have been talking about you. I've been posting about you for a very long time. 3 years. Even when you were working at the Daily Wire, I was posting about you. And I think it's time that someone actually calls you out. Now, I will be honest. I am thrilled, absolutely thrilled, that so many people have been. That people like Dave Rubin, people like Brandon Tatum have been finally calling you out. People like Matt Walsh have been calling you out. But to be completely honest, some of them, let's be clear about something. When we look at the grand scheme of things, the grand scheme of Candace Owens, there are 3 possibilities, and I will talk about all 3 in great detail. One is that Candace Owens' behavior.
What he did there, he should apologize. He won't. I don't care what happens to his platform. He's now essentially trying out because he's under financial pressure. He's trying out for a Zionist to pay him, and they will, okay? They will cut him a check, and I hope it happens for you, Tim. I hope it makes you happy. But to do that to someone who has never done anything to you other than disagree with you about the Charlie Kirk narrative, I have not focused my content on you, and any time your name has come up, it has been because you have explicitly been attacking me. You are a coward. You are less than a man, okay? You are behaving, your type right there is like a person who's having financial issues and yet decides to go out and put $100K on a poker game. And when he loses and is a further $100K in the hole, comes back home and beats his wife and kids and thinks he's a tough guy. That's how you're acting right now. I'm not your wife. I'm not your kids. Get your affairs in order and stop blaming me because I'm actually traversing down the path that hasn't been traveled by standing up and saying that something corrupt happened and Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And I don't care about your midterms. Okay, I don't care about your next year midterms and whether or not the Republican Party is united, okay? Because I don't want to stand next to people that would cover up Charlie Kirk's assassination. And I hope that I have made my point perfectly clear.
Crazy cunt. Adding Juliana here. I know, I'm using very different accents at this moment. Why are you gay? Okay? I just have to say something about this. You're going to hear me say the C word at the beginning. And that's because what Candace is saying right now, as I was editing the video, I realized that my moment where I come back to Juliana speak was so precise that it literally sounded like so cut and so separated that it didn't work. So let me say this very clear to you, Candace. Since I know you're never going to watch this because you live in a delusion, right? Candace, we do care about the midterms. Charlie dedicated his life to the midterms. He got Trump elected. You stupid fucking bitch. So how about the next time that you sound off, you keep that in mind. We're done with your bitch ass face. Now we know why the Daily Wire gave you the opportunity to create an entire TV show about making a murderer. You know that guy was guilty, right? But technically, I think you like guys that are guilty. You have a whole fetish for guys that are guilty, right? What's it that... Producer! Who's the guy that, Harvey Weinstein, right? She's a hard-on for Harvey Weinstein. All tea, all shade. I would not mind the idea that secretly, that people spread a rumor that she had a peen. Just a thought. Just a thought. Editing Juliana here. All right. Peace, love, hip hop. This is all alleged. I'm just asking questions. Bitches ain't shit. Thank you. To TPUSA's entire destruction. That is the reality. She's already asked for them to lose all of their funding. So let's talk about that further. In fact, I'm not going to show her video, but Candace Owens seemed giddy at best. I don't want to give. In fact, I'll make a video tomorrow about this, but I don't want to give any flowers to Nick Fuentes because he is a spoken Nazi. He has said it himself. But the fact that he has said the quiet part out loud about Candace Owens proves to you that if a Nazi can say that, someone who I disavow in every single terminology, it just proves to everyone out there just how dire the situation is. I'm sorry, guys. If you are one of these people, like Megyn Kelly, in fact, I'm going to insert a clip from this because Megyn Kelly decided after her interview with Ben Shapiro, right? She does these very calm, collected. This is the thing about Megyn Kelly. See, Megyn Kelly is one of those people who is very media trained. So when she talks, she decides to talk. She sits and she thinks very carefully about the words to say. I don't know Candace Owens. I'm not friends with Candace Owens. Yeah, I'm sure you're not. Let's roll a clip of her speaking about how she doesn't have a relationship, and Candace Owens has never elicited an idea about Erica Kirk. Some things don't age well, Megyn Kelly. Let's roll it.
Claiming Erica Kirk was behind the murder of Charlie, which I had not heard, and I was taken aback because that seems like something I would have heard. It's so crazy. And I have since learned it is not true. Candace has not made that claim. And in fact, I've now seen several clips of Candace specifically defending Erica Kirk.
Okay. That's cute. I think it's very cute of her to say that. I don't know her at all. Well, I'm pretty sure you ran cover for her yesterday. Now again, I do not, and this is going to be a theme with me on my platform, I am not going to run cover for someone I do not agree with when it comes to how they seemingly believe or they elicit this idea that these handshakes they have. You know what, actually, I'm going to say it plainly because I'm trying to be a pure pundit in this moment when I'm not going to ever end up on NBC. I'm never going to end up as a pundit on a news channel. I don't want that. The other day, what was I called? What I say I was? I'm talking to my producer.
I have no idea.
No, what was it that I was like, I called myself? I am so cynical and so unhappy with people. What is my like total energy? Because I was talking about how Tim Pool has this energy. I'm a Scrooge.
It's a sexy Scrooge.
Oh, you said I was a sexy Scrooge. Okay, I like that. The reality is that I am not the kind of person who ever wants the kind of attention that I get from pundits who say the kind of things that sound like elicits. They are so nice. They're so prim and proper. They care so much about what other people think. My energy is what Tim Pool said. My energy is what chicks on the right say. My energy is the ability to call people out when they deserve to be called out. And Megyn Kelly, your interview with Ben Shapiro is the reason you are getting called out at this moment. So let's show that.
I think you and I differ on our angle with regard to, for example, Candace Owens. I think that what Candace Owens is doing right now is evil. It is evil what she is doing right now. Okay, and I say that again.
But what
Because
like
it is
I didn't opine on whether it's evil or not, but my position is it's really none of my business. And
why is it? But I have a question. Why is it none of your business? I mean, you
because
comment on these things for a living.
I'm not mother of the internet.
No, but if this were on the left and somebody were accusing Charlie Kirk of his wife having murdered him, I assume that you would be talking about it.
Is that what Candace is accusing Erica of?
Yes.
Of murdering her own husband?
She's accusing TPUSA insiders and other members of the right wing, including Seth Dillon, of being involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk. Yes.
Okay. Like I said, I
And let's show even more of that.
The point that I'm making is that when
what I
that
understand
friendship
Candace
should
to
not,
have
in
been
our
doing.
business, I think it's important. Listen,
No, and Candace
friendship
and I are
should not
friends.
trump.
We don't even know each other.
I understand, but even with Tucker, friendship should not trump our manifest requirement to speak out when people do and say things that are both detrimental to conservatism and morally wrong.
Okay, so I don't totally disagree, but I think the way of handling that, at least for me, is much different. So I saw things go south.
You are a nonsense person if you think, I mean, even Brett Cooper, of all people, just a personal story. I was never really a fan of Brett Cooper. I thought that the whole concept of the comment section was kind of dumb because it was just a more polished way of doing a reaction channel. You're just commenting on someone else's comments. I mean, for fuck's sake, why not just call yourself a commentary? Like, you're not even a commentary channel at that point. You are taking someone else's brilliance, someone else's intelligence, someone else's comedic genius, and you're just deciding to comment on it yourself. And people have even gone back and said, hey, I'm the one that talked and said those things. And yet you decide to utilize it for your own benefit. These are the people out there that everyone decides are the gods of the internet. Well, now that Candace Owens has made herself look like an asshole, well, it's all tumbling. Tim Pool is right. But Candace Owens isn't going to be the only reason why it falls. No, of course not. It's going to be the people who stand behind her. I watched Dave Rubin's commentary, and I even responded to it, and I thought it was quite beautiful. I thought it was really good. He actually liked my response to it, and I'm going to include that right here. And I thank him for liking it. You know, it's not every day that you get a big creator that likes your stuff, so thank you, Dave. In fact, I'm going to just show. Thoroughly liked and enjoyed. And I have the signed sticker that you gave me, so I appreciate it very much. So I want to say that I'm going to acknowledge that Dave, who clearly was anxious about talking about this topic, that this is a common theme. Now, we've all had friends in our lives, friends who can't take criticism. You never want to tell them that they're wrong. You never want to tell them that they should change their behavior. In fact, this is a moment where I should include Brandon Tatum in the conversation, because I also quote tweeted Brandon Tatum after he posted his video yesterday. So I am just going to include my tweet to his. Many of you have already seen that video, and many of you have had complaints, but I just want to show you my response. I thought his video was also good, but he was very annoyed with the idea that anyone would ask him to say Candace's name, and I explained it to him. It's about moral clarity. This is a lot of what friendship is. This is a lot of what relationships are. I'm glad he finally said the name, but I hope that one day I never end up being Candace Owens. I really do. Because being susceptible to all of the narcissism, all of the issues that come with being someone's friend, being this famous, I mean, think about it. So many of us will never experience what it's like to be famous. But you know what we do know? If we were to become famous, we wish that we never become that narcissistic. And yet, we hope that one day our friends will stop us, that they will stop us from becoming the kind of people that Candace has become. I could talk about that. In fact, I will actually talk about that. I have tweeted about it pretty frequently. That I believe that a good friend would stop a friend who's clearly either completely evil or going through mental health issues. Now again, I was very surprised Brandon Tatum also liked my tweet, so I thank him for that. He's a good guy. I know why he still is loyal to Candace. Because as someone who was a police officer, of course he's going to be loyal to Candace. Because part of being a police officer is trusting other individuals to have your back when you're in a situation. I actually understand why he has the people in his life that he has, that why he has their back. So I don't have any criticism for him. As someone who has studied psychology and neuroscience, I know what psychosis looks like. And this is where we get into parts 2 and 3, right? You could suggest that Candace is really that vindictive. And I might go along with you. I think that there are plenty of other creators out there who would say that Candace might be doing this out of the pure sheer hatred she had. I mean, Tim Pool has suggested that Candace might have been hateful of Charlie, hateful of her loss of being part of TPUSA. I mean, it was shortly after, allegedly, right? I'm just asking questions like she always loves to say, right? I'm just asking questions. But that she hated Charlie because she lost TPUSA. He started dating Erica instead of dating her. Instead of marrying Erica, he should have married her. He didn't show up to her wedding. Or she didn't show up to his wedding, I should say. Interesting. Interesting, isn't it? I mean, you should go and see Jay Witt. Jay Witt is great. He has a whole theory all, put together. A theory that, honestly, is all fair game. Seeing as Candace has come up with unsubstantiated rumors, it makes total sense for someone like Jay Witt to come up with the idea, and he's not the only one, that maybe, just maybe, Candace is jealous because Erica was chosen in both cases, right? I remember this moment where Ben Shapiro, after hearing about Charlie Kirk's death, said, "We will pick up the mic for you." Now, we could all speculate what that meant, but it's very obvious what he meant. Now, Ben Shapiro, at that point, he still runs Daily Wire. He's not saying he wants to absorb Turning Point USA, and I don't think they would allow it anyway. But at a certain point, I think that deep down, what was happening there, ignore that. What was happening in that moment was very obvious. He was saying to pick up the mic because that mic was a representation of the movement, right? Speaking to young people. I mean, technically speaking, Ben Shapiro did the man on the street thing. He went to college campuses. What he was suggesting was, hey, we're not going to let your movement die. Meanwhile, how did Candace respond to that? You will not take that from Charlie. You're not going to, over my dead body, will you ever get to run Turning Point? That was her reaction. Okay. Sounds like a jealous person who doesn't want for someone else to run that company. Well, that might explain why she hates Erica. But why is it that she was showing text messages about Charlie and her and talking about dates and how in love with a girl that's clearly not Erica? She makes that very clear. Why exactly would she make that video? Body's Barely Cold. That was before the 3-month anniversary of his death. Maybe, just maybe, she was doing that out of spite, right? Oh, Erica, he doesn't love you that much. He doesn't love you that much. Hey, I'm talking to my producer. Out of curiosity, if you saw that, what would that elicit? I'm just asking.
Did she really love him? Or does she just love herself?
No, I mean, if someone, let's say you, beyond the mortal pale, if you knew that someone was sharing private messages of you going on a date with a girl while a widow was mourning your death, why would they be sharing that? What would be the information? Why would they share that?
I mean, it sounds like sabotage and rubbing salt in the wound.
Yeah, trying to suggest that she's not that important. Correct? That seems to be the elicitation. At least in my mind. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist like Candace. Maybe I'm just asking questions. Maybe the truth is that she's trying to suggest that Charlie didn't love Erica all that much. That seems to be the idea. He did not love Erica that much. Just a thought. If you think that I hate this woman, you're right. And if you are part of Cantifa and you want to shout out at me, I have to ask you the former Gen X TV thing where it would come on the screen for the boomer parents. Do you know where your children are? Since I know you are a bunch of moms who are bored and have nothing better to do than to harass people on the internet. Go find your kids and stop talking to people on the internet. Sorry, not sorry. Move on with your life. This is not the person to follow. Just a thought. And I can show you a few text messages. Let's just put them up. Let's just put them up, if you can. These are nonsense people. Nonsense people. We are dealing with someone who has no evidence, but she loves to claim that it's real. Oh, yes. I know for a fact. And I will show you. You'll show me. I mean, I think it was Officer Tatum who said himself, he is right by saying that he has talked to her. And she truly believes it. Well, then that elicits number 3 of my thought process. That Candace may or may not be struggling with mental health issues. Let's go on to that one. Here's the question. And I did reach out. And I did make sure that Brandon Tatum, I made it clear to him. And I wish I could make it clear to Megyn Kelly that complicity is silence. Because there's another possibility here when it comes to friends. Now, I'm so glad that Brandon Tatum did say something. Because I think he is a good guy. But the truth of the matter is that if I ever had a friend that saw me acting this way, I would want them to do something about it. If I said to my producer, hey, if I told you that I believed, you know what, we were talking about this earlier. If you saw one of her tweets and your uncle had said it, like at Thanksgiving or something, what would you say? What would you think?
Oh, something's totally wrong with him.
Yeah?
And that they need help instantly.
Yeah, no, that's how I feel too. Is like, I hear the things she says about French legionnaires. Let's make it clear about something. She believes French legionnaires are after her. Now, again, I studied psychology and neuroscience. And one of the things that we know, and I tweeted about this, that essentially part of delusional thinking, in fact, I'm going to put something up about narcissistic personality disorder, and I might make a deeper video into this because I am not actually licensed to diagnose anyone.
I think that they've done enough nasty stuff that it's actually not surprising that some people may want to be out to get them. And so they may have actually left enough damage in their wake that it's quite possible that there are people out there who do want to get them, as it were, and maybe looking for revenge or at least payback on things that have gone wrong. In that way, narcissists may be more likely to sort of be looking over their shoulder. They also have this tendency to believe that people are very envious of them, and that people are sort of want what they have. Chronic sense of sort of being put upon that can quite often look like paranoia. It's more paranoid than a normal person would be. If you have business dealings with somebody who's narcissistic, it's quite likely that they'll have you sign like 72 NDAs and this contract and that contract and this protection and that protection, and a lot of it almost feels like overdone. Again, it comes back to the sense of, well, if you're in a business deal with me, you're probably going to take advantage of me. Again, of course they think that, because they're probably going to do it to you.
Things you notice about delusional paranoid thinking is the idea that even when you present them with evidence, they will tell you, and I'm going to put a tweet of hers up, where she clearly will not accept evidence. She cannot accept that the smile that someone like Tyler Robinson was smiling in court doesn't sound like someone who was a patsy to any of us, not to Matt Walsh, not to anyone with common sense thinking, that someone like that has decided, no, that can't be right. Because most people with paranoid delusional thinking would suggest that that cannot be the case. It's very similar to cognitive dissonance. The reality is quite simple. They will decide to create another narrative to justify their beliefs. Essentially, this doesn't look healthy. There are 3 possibilities of how this ends up. Either Candace Owens is severely mentally ill. She is a vindictive C word. I'm actually going to just say it, guys. I'm far enough in the video where I can. She's a vindictive cunt. Sorry. She is. Or, number 3, she is severely, I mean severely, mentally ill. Did I say that twice?
Yeah, but it's okay to emphasize.
Okay, so then we're gonna go back and we're gonna say it again. She's either turning point is going to be destroyed, and she is going to be responsible for that, or she's a vindictive cunt, and she should be tackled and taken back by her friends and being spoken to about this. She needs a gut punch, right? Her friends need to be like, hey, listen, this is not the thing. This is not the thing. You are going to destroy your reputation because this does not look good for you. Or she's severely mentally ill. Because as someone who has worked with people who are mentally ill, who has worked at Whiting, which is a hospital for the criminally insane, as someone who has worked with people who have brain damage, as someone who has a degree in this, I am telling you right now that this is not sane behavior. This is someone who believes French legionnaires are after her. If someone told you that, if you are one of her followers and you believe everything she said, I want you to test a thought experiment with me. And you know what that thought experiment is? If you heard this from anyone else, would you believe it? Would you think that was normal? If you asked them, you would probably ask them a follow-up question, right? Now, as someone who studied psychology, we tested the theory. This is something, okay, this is very cool. I love doing this because this is what we used to do. Just to give you a background, I studied people with developmental psychopathology. So basically people who were on a fast track to develop usually cluster B disorders such as antisocial. And one of the things that was coming out at the time that I was studying this was this idea that the brain did not light up when you would pose a question about moral dilemmas. Their brain just didn't light up in CAT scans or in a PET scan. But if you pose the question differently, how would you feel if this was happening to you? You would see the light. I mean, it was faint, but you would see it. So I want to pose to her fans who believe this stuff, who attack people. By the way, attack me. You guys are a bunch of winos. You're a bunch of brain mobs. Okay, I'm sorry. You're a conspiracy theorist who believe anything you want to believe. But, sorry, that's a bad way to start this. I know. Don't give me the nod. I understand. But the idea or the concept is that, sorry for insulting any of you. I hope that you will stay a while. But the idea is quite simple. If I asked you, quite simply, how would you react if you heard what Candace said from someone you loved, deeply loved, from your children? If your child came home and told you that French legionnaires were out to get them, how would you react? If your child came home, I'm serious, and said to you that the federal government is trying to bankrupt them. Now, let's be clear, the federal bank, that's more likely to happen if the Democrats were in charge, right? The rate of taxes, don't even get me started. But what if someone like your child told you that? Think about it carefully before you just send me a mean message. How would you react if your kid said to you that you were sent, or they were sent a message in a dream by their dead friend telling them that they were betrayed by the ones they loved? I know the answer, and I'm sure you do too. Ignore the noise and answer the question honestly. You would all say the same thing. You would ask them a follow-up question, and then you know what you would do? You would say, I think we should go to the doctors. And they probably would say to you, but I already saw the pediatrician. I already saw my doctor this year. Oh, well, I think a follow-up is necessary. And you would inform the doctor of the things that your child had said to you. And as someone who had to do diagnostic work at that time, if we heard things like that, it was common for us to do follow-ups. It was common because that was a sign of a paranoid delusion. I want to include a quick video, and I promise you it is worthwhile. This is someone who does actually study this stuff, who does work in cluster B diagnostic personality disorders. So please watch it. I cannot diagnose her in the slightest. I legally can't. But I will say that I am seeing certain trends in her behavior, trends that I had to study, trends that my grades depended on. And at the end of the day, when I see those trends and I see people saying, well, she's a young mom, I can't say anything about her. Well, she's my friend, I can't do anything about this. My first response is to say, I pray that one day I never get to this point. Because when you are claiming the kind of bullshit that unfortunately she is claiming, and that everyone else is getting in on, there is a consequence to her actions, but there will be a consequence for her. She might lose her career. Maybe something like what happened to the I mean, there's a possible chance that maybe this company survives, that she doesn't successfully destroy TP USA. Maybe she doesn't. She might be lucky and she can't destroy TP USA. But there's a chance she might. Or maybe the third chance is that she's severely mentally ill, and that the people who should be caring about her, the people that call her a friend, should be checking in on her. Where is her husband in all of this? I mean, maybe he likes the money that comes in. Maybe this is a Eugenia Cooney situation, where the mom just lets the child get skinnier and skinnier and skinnier, even though she's clearly in a dire state. I hope that's not the case. I really genuinely do. But everything I heard, everything I have heard for the past couple of years sounds like someone who is in a psychological freefall. I mean, I've seen emails as far back. Maybe I won't release them. Private correspondence. I respect people enough not to do what Candace Owens did. But maybe, just maybe, she's been talking about people attacking her for years. For years. She's been talking about this kind of nonsense, about everyone out to get her for years. She's always been like this. And maybe someone needs to pony up. I hope I have a friend who would pony up and actually try to protect me. And with that, I hope to make a video tomorrow. Well, we know how the wind goes. I mean, maybe something will happen tomorrow, and for all you know, I will have to continue to screen record everything. I mean, it's hard to make a video, especially when you're a two-man team at this point. Woman, man. And at that point, I will say that it's time for dinner. But are you going to McDonald's again?
Oh yeah, gotta get my Grinch dinner.
You're gonna make me fat, you know that, right?
Yeah, but you like the wraps, so it's fine.
Don't do this to me! Just don't. Okay, well, at that point, guys, this is Right Off the Cuff with Jules. And remember something. Being a little bit off the cuff every single day keeps the wokies away. But now, I honestly, at this point, guys, we need to keep all the conspiracy theorists away. All right? Say an extra prayer tonight that stops happening. Goodbye, everyone.